It sounded like a stick of dynamite had gone off.
A Pierce County home is left with a giant hole after an explosion.
That was very scary.
Hear from the family who was shaken away.
What's going on? What's going on?
Honoring the fallen.
I think that the presence, it can be healing for the families.
An Idaho community comes together to pay tribute and say goodbye.
It's like, oh my Lord, how can this happen?
After 2 firefighters were shot and killed in an ambush.
We'll never see this as justice.
The trial of Brian Koberger could be over before it even begins. Tomorrow, a plea deal could take the death penalty off the table.
You don't deal with terrorists, and you don't deal with people who kill your kids in their sleep.
Tonight, the families of the 4 murdered students weigh in.
They may have to wait longer.
And slashes to Medicaid are one step closer to reality.
They said there's about an hour and a half wait.
And it could have major consequences for those who need health care.
Major cuts that would leave millions more people uninsured are very concerning to us.
What could happen at Washington State Hospital? That is the sound of an explosion at a Pierce County home, and this is the damage it left behind. You can see this gigantic hole in front of the house. This is King 5 News at 11. I'm Greg Copeland. As King 5's Madeline Carter found out, that damage was caused by a single firework.
Days before the 4th of July, this is a prime example of why fireworks are so dangerous.
It was very loud.
So loud. It shook Debbie Vallejos' entire family awake.
When it exploded, this is what it broke.
She's still trying to process the toll the firework took on her home on 19th Avenue East, from chipped paint to a gaping hole.
I don't know why they would target my home, but I was the target.
Pierce County Sheriff Deputy Carly Capetto says last weekend's late-night attack was, in fact, targeted.
This victim and the family had clearly been harassed by these suspects for quite some time.
Her department tracked down a 45-year-old and a teenager who were in the car the explosive was thrown from. Capetto says they told deputies it was just a firework.
These kind of fireworks should be illegal.
Turns out they were.
This was an illegal firework.
Even though some tribal stands sell M80s like this, it's against the law to own them in Washington.
Yeah, it was a sparkler bomb, or that was probably the fuse for it.
Deputies arrested the adult suspect, who may face charges. As for the teen, a juvenile prosecutor will decide the consequences for turning a firework into a weapon that left a woman and her family shaken.
It could have been a lot worse. They could have burnt my house down, and they could have taken out all 4 of us.
The Pierce County Sheriff Department bomb squad will be on high alert for any fireworks or explosive calls throughout the July 4th holiday. Reporting in Pierce County, Madeline Carter, King 5 News.
Take a look at this huge explosion at a fireworks warehouse in California. That right there. This happened in Esparto, just outside of Sacramento this evening. Crews are still battling the flames right now. That smoke, as you might imagine, is visible from miles. The cause of that is still under investigation. You can see the fireworks show that set off afterward. 2 firefighters escorted home by fellow first responders. A procession today in Idaho honored the men killed in the line of duty. Battalion Chiefs Frank Harwood and John Morrison died on Sunday in what investigators describe as an ambush by a gunman who lured them there. Reagan Gallo from our sister station shows us how they were honored.
Like so many people, Sharon LaFountain is grieving over the death of 2 firefighters, standing streetside to honor the men who were gunned down in an ambush.
It's like, oh my Lord, how can this happen?
She was one of the hundreds of people who lined the streets during Tuesday's procession. Her connection forged from personal experiences with first responders.
Fire Marshal Jim told me that I was blessed because the house was engulfed in flames and I got out okay. So I'm so grateful to them.
The route from Spokane to Coeur d'Alene was flanked by supporters and mourners, unified in collective grief.
There's a lot of support out there, and I just hope that people don't forget that this happened today, that we remember the firefighters today who lost their lives, and that we always remember not to let hate control us and not to let these things continue to happen, because this is truly a travesty.
Flags flew and were a tangible reminder that first responders support their communities and country, and that sacrifice should be honored.
I think that the presence, it can be healing for the families, even if just a smidge. And I just want as many people out here as possible, and there's a lot of people.
The two fallen battalion chiefs, John Morrison and Frank Harwood, were returned home to North Idaho, the place they worked and served for decades.
We all come from different walks of life and different places, but we're all here for our community, and we all love our community more than anything.
Investigators are still working to learn why 20-year-old Wes Rowley carried out that attack. He was found dead after the ambush. Police believe he took his own life. The Cooney County Sheriff's Office says Rowley had ties to California and Arizona and was living in Idaho. Authorities say he did not have a criminal record and at one point even wanted to be a firefighter. As we wait for investigators to uncover a motive, stay with King 5 for the latest developments. You can text the word Idaho to 206-448-4545 to get a link to everything that we know so far. Well, tomorrow, the man charged with killing 4 University of Idaho students will appear in court. Brian Kohberger is expected to accept a plea deal for the murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xander Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Under that deal, Kohberger will avoid the death penalty and lengthy trial. King 5's Joyce Taylor is in Boise, Idaho, with details on how the families are reacting.
Ethan Chapin, one of the 4 students killed, was from Skagit County in Washington State. He went to school in Conway and Mount Vernon, and he spent much of his life here in Idaho, in northern Idaho specifically. And we were here yesterday with the Chapin family, Jim and Stacy, to do a pre-trial interview when the phone rang and they got the call that Brian Kohberger had agreed to a plea deal. Now, out of respect for their family, I am not going to tell you specifically how they reacted, but I can tell you that it came as a shock. This trial's been hanging over these families for 2.5 years, and the idea that it could suddenly be over was emotional. And while we have heard from the father of Kaylee Gonzalez, who is outraged at the news that there likely will be no trial at all if this goes through, that was not my takeaway from the Chapin family. Jim and Stacy Chapin have, from day one, put Ethan's siblings first. As you know, Ethan was a triplet. His brother and sister, Hunter and Maisie, were also students at the University of Idaho. You can imagine how difficult sitting through a trial would be for them, for their parents, for all the families. The possibility that it could end with a guilty verdict and the death penalty would have likely meant years and years of appeals, and that is something the Chapins were deeply concerned about for the long-term emotional well-being of their kids. So, is this deal something that the Chapins wanted? I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that ultimately, when it comes to Ethan, there really is no outcome that is going to be sufficient because they lost their son. He's gone forever. Nothing will bring him back. And their lives have been dramatically altered forever. So while we might be seeing an end to the legal piece of this, this trial will never end for this family. In Idaho, I'm Joyce Taylor, King 5 News.
And Joyce will be at Kohberger's hearing in Boise tomorrow at 10 a.m. You can join us here on King 5 and our app King 5 Plus for live coverage of the entire hearing from Boise.
Angelina was standing outside a busy gas station in broad daylight, uninvolved with what was going on around her. The epitome of an innocent bystander.
That is the message from prosecutors in the trial of a man accused of killing a Spanaway mother of 9. Angelina Palmer was shot and killed outside a convenience store in May of 2022. Prosecutors say Jermel Warren killed Palmer when he fired 5 shots at a driver who had pepper sprayed him. Warren is representing himself in court, even asking questions of Palmer's brother on the stand today.
So you don't necessarily know the manner of how she passed away?
You're asking me, do I know the manner of how she passed away? I called the morgue personally, and they told me that the cause of death was murder.
Prosecutors say they expect Warren will argue self-defense. Investigators are sharing some new details about the search for Travis Decker. He's the man charged with the murders of his 3 daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. The girls were found near a campsite west of Leavenworth last month. Police confirmed 2 bloody handprints found at the scene are a DNA match for Travis Decker. Search teams have been using canines and cadaver dogs to help track Decker down. Now the National Park Service is planning to send swiftwater rescue teams to more thoroughly search lakes and rivers there. If you see Decker, call 911 right away. The city of Tacoma has reached a $6 million settlement with the family of Manuel Ellis. The family's attorney told King 5 the agreement was reached yesterday afternoon. It follows a $4 million settlement that the family reached with Pierce County in 2022. Ellis died while being arrested by Tacoma police in 2020. A jury acquitted all 3 officers charged in connection with his death. 3 months after an autistic man disappeared from his home, a new glimmer of hope for an Arlington family.
It's our best chance finding him at this point. It's the most promising lead we've had.
21-year-old Jonathan Huang's family says the person seen in this security camera footage bears a remarkable resemblance to him. This was captured 1 week ago around 11 o'clock on 114th Lane Northeast in Kirkland. Jonathan lives at his family home, which is on 114th Drive Northeast in Arlington. The addresses and the neighborhoods are similar.
We're thinking maybe possibly he was trying to find his way home. He doesn't have a memory for details like phone numbers and addresses, but it's possible that he could remember pieces of it.
So right now, Huang's family is preparing to lead a search effort in that area of Kirkland. Anybody who can help out is asked to meet at Juanita Beach Park tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. President Trump's budget bill is one step closer to his desk. Tonight, it was Vice President J.D. Vance who pushed it from the U.S. Senate through to the House.
The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
So the bill passed the House once already, but since the Senate made changes, the House has to pass it again before it can get the president's signature. That may not be easy.
House Democrats are going to do everything we can over the next few hours, today, tomorrow, for the balance of this week and beyond, to stop this bill from ever becoming law.
There's a lot of us on the House side that are worried about with the Senate bill, and I think we'll have a hard time passing.
One of the biggest sticking points is the cuts to Medicaid to make room for funding for national security. One sector of the healthcare industry is worried they could see the biggest impacts from this. King 5's Maddie White here now with more on that tonight. Maddie.
Greg, I spoke with a doctor who spent years working in emergency rooms across Western Washington. But I also met some patients and their loved ones tonight waiting to be seen at a local ER.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Anne brought someone to an ER tonight who needed to be seen immediately. But
They said there's about an hour and a half wait.
a wait. Just like in so many ERs across Washington.
I talk to colleagues in the Washington area all the time.
Because they're at capacity.
Overcrowded and don't have funding to work to expand that capacity.
Dr. Allison Haddock from Bellevue leads the American College of Emergency Physicians.
Our biggest concerns about the bill are related to the cuts in Medicaid.
Under President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, 11.8 million people could go uninsured over the next decade. That's according to a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office.
Seeing major cuts that would leave millions more people uninsured are very concerning to us.
Haddock says her group is concerned Americans who can't afford to pay out of pocket will forego preventative checkups.
If that patient doesn't refill their blood pressure and diabetes medicine and their diabetes gets out of control, they may end up needing an ICU admission for a diabetic emergency.
Situations like these, she says,
care that otherwise could have been provided in the outpatient setting,
could further strain emergency departments.
Already overcrowded, overcongested.
And just like their care for their patients
that need to be admitted,
Haddock says this is a matter of life or death.
Losing insurance is associated with increasing mortality.
And Anne hopes something can change.
It's just a systemic issue, you know?
Now, about 1 in 4 people in Washington are on Medicaid, also known as Apple Health. Proponents for the cuts to Medicaid call it an attempt to return Medicaid to its original purpose as a safety net for the truly vulnerable. I'm Maddie White, King 5 News.
Washington State has joined 2 new lawsuits challenging President Trump administration policies. The first was filed against the U.S. Department of Education, accusing it of illegally cutting congressionally approved funding for mental health programs in schools. A coalition of 16 state attorneys general have signed on to that. Washington is also suing the Trump administration for illegally sharing personal health data with ICE. The state's health agency revealed last month that Medicaid data was shared with the Department of Homeland Security without consent. The agency considered it a data breach. 15 states are involved in that suit.
You have to look at the realities of life.
Still ahead, prices at the pump are going up, not because of some increase on barrels overseas, but a higher tax right here at home.
And another warm day today, but finally a cool down is set to arrive as we head throughout the rest of the week. That means the 4th of July holiday will be cooler. How many clouds are going to be around, though? We'll let you know more about that coming up.